are now listening to Regular Guys Podcast. Coming through your speakers on this beautiful Wednesday, we are regular guys. You are regular people. And here we are on this regular Wednesday. We thank you guys so much for joining us each and every week as your favorite sports podcast. You don't got to tell us. We already know. As always, I am your host, Matty Ice, joined here by a regular, our good guy, Joe. You guys have probably heard us talk about Joe sometimes when it comes to Madden and whatnot. Now you get to put a name to face. Joe, tell the people what's good, man.
What's going on, guys? Glad to be here. Glad to be able to be a part of your show. I got a couple of things that I got to get off my chest with Matt making.
Oh, no.
The other week.
Oh, no. This is where we started
I'm
off.
glad to be here for this show.
Yeah, man. Joe's not too happy about my take on the Falcons beating the Niners, but Madden showed otherwise. But anyways, we're here with our good guy, Jake. Tell the people, Jake, what's going on, man?
What's up, everyone? Super excited about the show. We love when we have our friends on. Joe's he's a clown sometimes, so we're glad to have him with us so you guys can see how he is with sports.
Yeah, man. Have a really good show planned for you guys. Obviously, preseason week 3 recap. So many NFL news, whether it's starters being named, players being shipped out, players mulling retirement, as well as injury news. And as always, we're going to keep it rolling with the fantasy talk. This week we'll be doing fantasy football sleepers. And obviously, this is why Joe is here to join us. Breakdown of the NFC West. As a Niners fan, we will get a true fan's perspective on his team going into the season, as we try to do each and every week. And then leading into the NBA, just a couple news there. And obviously, in our new segment and other topics, this week's a little bit special because college football kicks off. So we're going to make sure we do our best to start college football off with a bang. And, of course, we'll end it off with our favorite and your favorite, the hype. So, gentlemen, to begin, we have preseason week 3 recap in the books. Just some notable games that we were able to see. There we go. Some notable games that we were able to see of some guys. Obviously, as you guys are aware, some of these guys, unfortunately, were still playing in week 3 preseason. Why? I don't know. The Panthers beat the Steelers 34-9. We saw Trevor Lawrence, a.k.a. Sunshine, walk into Jerry's house and give the Cowboys a loss 34-14. And if you're a Fins fan, obviously we know a good majority of our fans who listen to us, our regulars, are. We saw a remarkable 4th down conversion, Hail Mary early or late in the end zone to give the Dolphins the win over the Bengals. But, hey, we don't want to keep going on all the scores. Guys, Jake, starting with you, give me something that you saw that caught your eye on this final week of preseason.
So you mentioned that Dolphins and Bengals game. When I saw number 9, Joe Burrow, start walking on the field, I was completely confused onto why that was even happening. Like, my guy just came off of knee surgery, was in a brace to do OTAs, but yet he's playing the last preseason of the game. I don't understand why that happened. Like, if you want to play, that's cool. You're going to play week 1, hopefully to week 18, but I did not understand why you had to have him play.
Yeah, I felt like it was a lot of that. I feel like this 3 preseason games really killed the plan because obviously the 3rd preseason game, when it was a 4-game format, was always your dress rehearsal. You had guys play just about all the way up until half and into the 3rd. I didn't understand why he was out there. Didn't understand, which we'll get into later with why J.K. Dobbins, and I just didn't understand it. But, yeah, I'm right there with you. Joe, something that caught your eye on this final week of preseason?
Just a couple of things. I took note of a bunch of the quarterbacks, Darnold, the Panthers, Huntley for the Ravens, both of them putting up some yards and touchdowns. For me personally, as a 49ers fan, to see Hurd out there with the multiple catches and yardage, because for us personally, as a 49ers fan, our wide receivers are always getting hurt. So whether or not he can stay healthy enough to produce for us is big.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this guy play before. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was a running back at Tennessee and then was converted into a receiver and transferred to Baylor. I didn't understand, one, why he was a running back. The guy is like 6'3" and some change, and it was crazy. But other than that, yeah, definitely. Again, for me, the takeaway from this week was just I didn't understand it. Why are so many of these starters out there? Again, Joe Burrow, granted, he only played literally like 3 snaps still, man. It's preseason. Shake the
Anything could
rust
happen.
off. Yeah, literally anything could happen.
This
Thankfully,
drop back could have been weird, and he
tweaks
his
up.
knee.
Yeah, so
And to be after the Ravens game and to see all that, that for me personally would have been in the back of my mind, especially with their starting quarterback, why risk it?
Yeah, no, definitely. But other than that, we saw some news before the games kicked off for week 3. A lot of guys named starter. Surprise, surprise. Trevor Lawrence will be named the starter of the Jacksonville Jaguars, as if we didn't already see that coming. Teddy B named the starter of the Denver Broncos. Jameis Winston named the starter of the New Orleans Saints. Joe, what are your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence being named the starter for the Jags? Are we surprised or
I'm
what?
excited to see. I think he's a better back than what they had. A couple of stats that I looked up. His last year in college, he was 231 for 334 passing, 3,100 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks. But this preseason, 31 of 44, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's a 70% completion rate. But for me personally, a big thing is, can his line protect him? Because all the preseason games he was taking sacks. So it's you got to protect your starting quarterback.
Yeah, it's I mentioned this before. Sunshine Jennifer Lawrence, if you will, has all the makings of an Andrew Luck. The build, besides the looks, obviously, Sunshine's just a little bit more prettier than Andrew Luck was, but other than that, everything else, the talent is there. Also, too, unfortunately, the bad offensive line is there too. So hopefully, they can take a page out of the Colts playbook and not, let your future of the franchise die out there week after week, year after year. Jake, your thoughts on Teddy B being named starter over Drew Lock?
I don't know. I kind of would have stuck with Drew Lock. Just me. I don't see what the why not? What's the harm in starting Drew Lock? You know what Teddy B has. He's not going to do anything that's going to surprise you. He's very fundamental at his age. He's a veteran. He knows what to do, what not to do. His just thing is the knees. He's not as mobile. So that messes up his accuracy because he loves to throw on the run. I would have just thrown Drew Lock out there. I feel like it's his last season to prove it. If not, I don't think they pick up his player option. So I throw him out there. He has the arm. Like, he has amazing quarterback talent. And you have a wide receiver room that wants to get deep. So I would have thrown him out there, see what happens. Because then, worst case scenario, you just have Teddy B come up, play the rest of the year, and then all right, Drew Lock's not the guy. So that's what I would have done.
Yeah. I was kind of in the same boat with you, especially after the bomb that he threw to KJ Hamler against the Vikings. But I get why they went with Teddy B, because Teddy B plays it safe for the most part. Yeah, he's going to take some shots, but for the most part, he knows where he's going with the ball, whereas I get it, Drew Lock is very sporadic. He's very inconsistent. I definitely agree there with you where you said he's obviously got the better arm talent. It's just if you could put Teddy B's brain in Drew Lock's body, you're set.
Oh,
But
100%.
obviously, I mean, you could say the same. If you could give Teddy B Drew Lock's arm, they would be set. So I get it. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked that if Teddy B is dethroned come midway, just because of they want to get more explosive, especially with their receiver room, which I feel is the best in the league. I could honestly see that. So, but I could have seen if Drew Lock start that they pulled him midway to start Teddy B. So I feel like either way,
I think Teddy
somebody's
B
not
is
getting
going to
pulled.
work. It's going to be better for them. Because like you
Yeah,
said, Teddy B doesn't make the mistakes. And he has a way better defense. This might be the best defense he's played,
yeah,
Teddy B. So he has that protection that if he messes up, it's not do or die that they're going to lose. You have a chance of the defense going to hold the offense. So
yeah, definitely. And then Jameis Winston, 30 for 30, chasing Winston, was named the starter of the New Orleans Saints. Got the surgery, as we mentioned some weeks ago. He can see clearly now that the interceptions are gone. In my eyes, this was kind of a no-brainer. I don't know. I feel like Taysom Hill's got some type of I don't know. I feel like he's got something in his back pocket that on Sean Payton that he's just like, hey, man, if you don't make me to start, I'm going to put this out there for everybody. It was just too obvious for me. You bring a guy back for a 1-year deal. You let him sit all last year behind Breeze. It was just right. I mean, he looked pretty good. Granted, it was the Jags, but he was putting some footballs in the places where his guy Callaway could get it. Only his guy could get it. So we'll see. Obviously, in our breakdown of them, I felt like they do take a step back because although he's got probably the better arm than Breeze, that knowledge of where to go to audible out of plays and whatnot, that's like Brady with the Pats of 20 years. It was kind of like that with Breeze and the Saints. It was a foundation already there. But Joe, your thoughts on Mr. Winston being named the starter?
I don't mind it. You know, like you said, behind him with Hill and Simeon. I mean, it is a no-brainer. He's a true quarterback. He's always had his eyes apparently as a problem. He said so. Give him a shot. See what he's about. From there, you know, you got to work the draft or free agency.
We found the perfect house. Yeah, we couldn't believe the deal we got.
So, who's that? So, anyways, going into some other further news, we were able to see some players on their way out. Shaq Lawson, formerly was on the Houston Texans, is now going to the Jets. Gardner Minshew wanted out of Jacksonville and wanted to compete, so they shipped him to the Eagles, where he will be the third string behind Joe Flacco. Sidney Jones will be playing for the Seahawks in a secondary that is in need of some sort of help. So with all these recent moves, which one of these stuck out as maybe a question mark or maybe hey, this was actually a really good move. I really like this for them going forward?
I think Carl Lawson, it's cheap, and it's literally just for this year. If he plays well, Shaq Lawson. Yeah. If he plays well, perfect. Maybe he gets re-signed, but it's nothing that they're not crying over what they gave up. You needed that help after losing Carl Lawson, so I like that one too. And I don't think the Sidney Jones deal's bad either. Seattle needs it. When we can break down, you'll see it. They need corner depth, so I love the deal for them. So I don't really think either of those trades were bad.
Yeah, for sure. Joe, your thoughts on Gardner Minshew being Joe Flacco's backup? Joe, you're muted.
Sorry, my computer acting all crazy. Honestly, it's a toss-up between the two of them. You know, you got an older veteran, and Minshew. He wasn't no superstar where he was, but I fully think that he's capable of leading their team they needed him to.
Yeah, I will say, I think in a weird way, Minshew is the backup plan if Hurts doesn't succeed. I kind of liked Minshew. He wasn't afraid to take his chances down the field. Definitely going to, hit the guy that's open as far as like first check read, underneath type stuff. But as we mentioned, as Joe talked about with the offensive line of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just bad. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is probably a better arm talent, but I felt like Minshew definitely deserved a chance somewhere. So we'll see if Jalen Hurts is not panning out for them. We'll see how that goes. Maybe they go to Gardner Minshew.
I mean, he had 16 touchdowns, 5 picks, a 66% completion rate. I mean, he had more completion rate and touchdowns than Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, less picks than both of them. So I mean,
yeah,
he shows that he can play compared to other QBs in the league.
Yeah, definitely that. And I felt like also too, maybe the Broncos should have been a team that they kind of took a chance on him, because he will, like I said, he will sling it. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to always check down. The stats that Joe just mentioned definitely prove that, but I get it. Jacksonville, new start under head coach Urban Meyer. He wanted his guy, so out goes Gardner Minshew. Other news that actually happened today. What's his name? Butler. Cardinals.
Malcolm Butler.
I wanted to say Marcus Butler. Sorry, Malcolm, if you're listening to this show. Sorry for butchering your name there, guy. But yeah, Malcolm Butler. You guys might know him for the miraculous interception with the Patriots in that Seattle Pats Super Bowl. Is thinking about retiring, going through some personal issues, it seems like, and also too maybe with how the season is kind of looking with COVID and the new protocols and such. It's not necessarily as shocking that the players are kind of talking about it, but especially with him, who he's on the wrong side of 30, as we love to say. Jake, is this a little bit of a shocker, especially for the Cardinals, that with the season a week and a half away, he is talking about doing something like this?
I mean, the timing's not great with the season starting, because I think the Cardinals would have loved that if he was even contemplating this, that it should have been, spoken with when he was signing. I think they either would have been a little more hesitant or they would have had a backup plan. But at the same time, you'd rather it be now than after the trade deadline where you can't trade for anybody, or like we had a couple years ago, Vontae Davis retired mid halftime. So it's better that it's neither of those two options, I guess. But I feel like this is something we're going to see a lot of, especially just because the whole COVID situation is getting pretty bad in the NFL.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, and if you are the Arizona Cardinals, I would definitely say that you kind of got to hope that this does not become true, because after losing Pat P, you were already kind of thin. Obviously, you got Brian Murphy playing, corner. You drafted Marco Wilson, which as a Gators fan ain't really much. And Malcolm Butler, as it looks now in the depth chart, was a starter. Robert Alford is behind him, but he's out with an injury. So you got guys like Daryl Worley, Tay Godwin, who I don't even know if these guys make the roster, but obviously they may have to now because of news like this. You just don't know. But I'm sure a guy like Joe is definitely hoping that happens, because that just means chicken dinner for Debo and Brandon Ayuk and Kittle and crew, right, Joe?
I would hope. if I was the Cardinals position, like you said, with Alfred being out, Worley's a little older. I think he was 26 or 28, but Tay is young. He's 23. I would give him a shot, before you make any moves where it's going to cost you money or picks. Test him out, see what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. But now moving into our injury news front, last week, news broke after our episode last week came out. Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars, taken in the first round of this year's draft, is out for the season due to a foot injury. Obviously, it's not that major of a blow because Robinson is there, who was a beast last year, undrafted guy. Many people didn't even draft in their fantasy drafts, picked them up literally that same week of the opening season. But it is somewhat of a blow because of the plans they had for Mr. Etienne. But we have just so many injury front news, so I'm gonna kind of go through them all right now, and then we'll get these guys feedback on which one maybe is a bigger blow to their team. J.K. Dobbins, after an MRI confirmed yesterday, he has torn his ACL, will miss the entire season. T.Y. Hilton will miss multiple games to open the season due to a disc issue in his neck. Sam Tevy, also of the Indianapolis Colts, suffered a torn ACL during the preseason game against the Lions. Irv Smith is expected to need a procedure to address a meniscus tear, so that will sideline him to start the regular season. And Joe doesn't want to hear this one. Trey Lance nicked up something with his finger. I guess he's chipping his finger. He's out there throwing the ball so hard he's taking chunks off his finger. Looks like
this.
Looks like he will be out for a week. And of course, we had multiple guys: Evan Ingram, Darius Slayton, who got dinged up in the games. But also too, where there is injuries, there's COVID. Where the Indianapolis Colts looked like they were finally getting healthy. Big Q was activated from the COVID-19 protocol list, and 3 more Indianapolis Colts went on it.
Including Carson Wentz.
Led by Carson Wentz, our center, and Zach Pascal. Now, it has been cleared that they did not test positive, but they were close contacts. So all they have to do is just record, I think, 5 straight days of negatives and show that they're not asymptomatic, and they can return back to practice on next Monday because apparently the Colts will be off for practice Friday and Saturday. So, gentlemen, with all this star-studded news, literally right before the season, which one of these really hits your eye there, Joe?
For the sleepers?
No, for the injury news.
Injury news?
Yeah,
I mean, that's big. I was big on Dobbins this year. Drafted him in a couple of my leagues already. Joys of drafting early, but so that one hurts. It hurts for multiple reasons. I wanted to see him succeed, but their backfield is with Gus Edwards and Hill. I like the rookie that they have. I think it's McCrary.
Yeah.
I was watching him the other day. He looks really good. I'd like to see him play. But, the Dobbins, T.Y. Hilton, those ones are big. I just laughed at Lance's finger chip, whatever it is. I seen that. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Jake? Any of these injuries stand out for some of these teams going forward?
I think it's just the Dobbins one was real bad. Because everything else that was said is either a couple weeks or it's COVID, might even be back by week 1. Even the Irv Smith, they didn't even give a timetable. They just said we'll miss the season opener. So who knows what that means. But I just think the JK one's huge. They're losing their receivers. And then now Lamar Jackson lost his starting running back. So it's going to be tough. I didn't like the Ravens going into the season. And now with all the injuries, I feel like Lamar's going to be asked to do way more than what I think he can handle.
Yeah, I was honestly really excited for them as far as offensive-wise. I still really think their defensive front is bad because of what they've lost. But I was really happy because they addressed the receiver twice in the draft with Bateman and Waller. They also added Sammy Watkins. So I was happy because for once, Lamar actually had legit receivers out there, not your slot guys. And then so you add those guys with, Marquise Brown, and you still have Mark Andrews, and then you have Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I was like, okay, this is legit. This is what we want to see. Let's see Lamar really take off, go to that next level. And then they're all hurt.
Yeah.
It sucks, man. Lamar, we know you're listening. Hey, man, we're sorry.
I will say Lamar's probably going to have a career year with rushing yards.
Oh, yeah,
I'll tell you that much. He might hit that 15-15 for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe not as many rushing yards as I got with him on Madden.
It's like humanly possible, Joe.
Definitely. But hey, again, as we talk about this injury news, hopefully you didn't draft J.K. Dobbins, and if you did, hopefully you did it in a dynasty league where you can stash him and cash him. But now we're going to move into some fantasy football talk. We know those drafts are kicking off. We just did one last night that seemed to take 23 hours. But
we're still drafting.
We're still drafting right now as we speak. We're really not, but it feels like it.
It only took 5 hours.
5 hours felt like 24 to us, Joe. But hey, we're here.
Longest draft I've ever done.
Oh yeah, hands down, easily. And it was an auction draft. Oh god, never again. It's definitely. Yeah, fantasy football is here. Last week we broke down, Jake and I, top 10 guys in each position. This week we will do the same. We're going to start off with the quarterbacks. I had the luxury of doing the quarterbacks and the kickers. Jake will take the running backs and defenses, and Joe will take the tight ends and receivers. To start us off, sleeper. So what do we mean by sleeper? It's literally a guy you're not like, okay, you know what? I need Kyler Murray. I need Mahomes. I need Rodgers, Herbert. It's guys who you can wait to get, who will still get you good production, but may surprise you and do a little bit more. So a guy who's sitting at the top of my list, yep, it's because I'm a Colts fan. I got to go with Mr. Carson Wentz. Whereas many people may view Mr. Wentz as damaged goods. Hopefully we can stop getting COVID, and hopefully we can stay, healthy for the most part. But everything as far as from the offensive line to the running back room to the receiver room is kind of pointing up for him, especially with the pairing of him and Frank Reich back again. I feel like he could definitely be a sleeper, somebody who you can get in the later rounds because everyone's going to feel like he's, washed up or, he's mentally damaged still. Some other guys I have on my list, Tua. If Tua can continue to look how he's looked in the preseason and then some, again, the weapons are there. Jalen Waddle they drafted, Devontae Parker, Albert Wilson. When Will Fuller comes off of being suspended, he will also be there. Mike Gesicki. The weapons are there. Everything is there for Tua to succeed. Maybe the offense line still kind of, retooling a little bit, but it's there. I feel like he could be, again, a guy unless you're a Dolphins fan, because to me, all Dolphins fans seem to think, I don't know, bro, he's like the next thing since Marino. I could be wrong, but definitely a guy you can wait to draft as all the top quarterbacks go. And then the last guy for me, I'm going to go Baker. Baker Mayfield of the Browns. You get Odell Beckham back, and I saw Odell running some routes.
He looks good.
The explosion looks like it's back.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we understand that the offense is going to run through that two-headed monster coming out of the backfield and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, which rightfully so. But you got some dogs out there too. No pun intended, dog pound, Brown Nation. Landry, Odell Beckham, Austin Hooper, Njoku and crew. So Baker could also take that step and really, put the Browns on that contender level that, hey, look at us. We're here too. But those are just some sleepers that I have for you guys as you complete your fantasy drafts. If you're again, this quarterback class is really deep. I mean, at this point, any of these guys could really get you 20, 25 on a good day. Obviously, the elites, if you're in PPR, which I don't think PPR matters for quarterbacks, but they're going to get you over 30 for the most part. But these are some sleepers that we have. Jake, what about some running back sleepers that you have going into the season?
So one of the big ones that went and shot up on my radar that I was like, oof, was right after the J.K. Dobbins news. Gus Edwards. Usually almost every year during fantasy football, he'll have like 1 or 2 weeks or a good like 2 to 3 week span where he's getting you double-digit points. So even without having the starting position, he was always good to have someone on there in case you needed an emergency or it was depth. So he was almost usually on always on someone's team. But now being the number one guy, that's a guy that you definitely have to go ahead and grab, especially for this year. If you're doing a 1-year draft, definitely get him. He's someone that you need. And then I went A.J. Dillon. I really like A.J. Dillon. He may be competing with Saquon for the biggest legs. And the man got trunks.
Easily.
Like,
I got that guy
the reason why I like A.J. Dillon, I feel like he's going to play that Jamal Williams role.
Yeah.
But obviously, we know that's Aaron. I forgot his name.
Jones.
There we go. We know it's his backfield, but all these running backs need a break. They need a rest, and A.J. Dillon has enough to at least be someone that you need to look out for. Now I'm gonna be a homer for this one because this is my team. I do not think he's going to be the starting running back for probably the first 5 to 6 games. But I do see a second half of the season breakout for Michael Carter on the Jets. They love this guy. He has raw talent. There's a lot of his fundamentals that they need to fix, but he can catch out of the backfield. He's quick and he's young. That's the main thing. They have Tevin Coleman. He gets hurt a lot, so that might be Michael Carter's way in. But those are 3 guys that I absolutely love. And then I think Joe might agree on this one. I like Trey Sermon from San Francisco.
I would agree with you as well, man.
Yeah, Trey Sermon. We love the running backs in San Francisco because whoever's starting is usually playing like a running back RB1 just because of how that offense rolls. So if Trey Sermon can take that role over and it's his, like I think he could win the job. I really do because I like Mostert, but Mostert gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So those are my running backs.
He'll have a job.
Yeah. Agreed. Moving on to our receivers. Joe, give us some sleepers heading into the season, man.
A couple of guys that fell deep in the drafts that I've done that I do like. Judy from Denver. He dropped pretty low, surprisingly. Gage from Atlanta. And mine, the one that's going a little bit higher, still not super high, is Chase for the Bengals. I do like him a lot. He still didn't go quite early in any of the drafts that I've done, but I think he's got a lot of upside, especially being young. So those are the 3 guys that I really like at wide receiver. I'm interested to see what Judy does with Bridgewater. Gage being the number 2 in Atlanta, I'm hoping that he can see some of the things that their number 1 receiver Ridley saw last year. I want to see his numbers go up as they try to cover Ridley more.
Yeah, the one guy that I liked on your list was definitely Gage for sure. Those 2, him and Ridley last year, a lot of people don't realize this, but when Julio went down, those guys they balled, and Matt Ryan had the confidence in them that, hey, you're there, you're open, we're going to hit you. So I really don't think the loss of Julio is going to affect them as much as people may think. Especially you add a guy like Kyle Pitts to that receiving attack. So I feel like the reason Jamar Chase is falling on draft boards is because of he's having a little bit of inconsistency in practice, dropping some balls and whatnot. Everyone thought, and I was along this, train as well. Everyone thought that it was a match made in heaven. You get to go back and play with your old, quarterback of college, and Joe Burrow won a championship with him. And I easily thought he was going to become the number one guy just because of the experience there. But we'll see. Obviously, it's a long season. Anything can happen, but definitely love those sleeper picks there for receivers. And
got his jitters, and he can.
Well, another thing with Jamar Chase, he took all of last year off.
Yeah,
so
he's
it
been off
depends on what he did on the side. If he wasn't doing much working out, just trying to stay fit, but wasn't actually, catching anything or really working on his routes, because no one knows what he was doing to stay fit.
Yeah.
If he was just trying to stay healthy and just keep the body good, that's going to mess with you a whole year off of catching. And Joe Burrow apparently can throw it. So if you're not a year off from trying to catch a pass from somebody that's bulleting a football to you, you're gonna have some drops.
Yeah, big time. But Joe, while you still have the floor, man, give us some sleeper tight ends for the 2021 season.
For me, Austin Cooper, he's dropping pretty low, but I think he has opportunity. They said they want to get him more involved in the passing game. So for me, he was on top of my list for tight ends that are dropping down the list that are worth a look at. Hurts for the Jags, and also Met. Is that how you say his name for Chicago?
Komet, yeah. Komet, yeah.
Those are the three. I'm wondering, with Fields being new, rookie, will he be doing a check down to the ends? So those are the three that I'm looking at: Hurts, Komet, and Austin Hooper.
Yeah. If I had to give one, and I'm going to stay with the Colts. He's not starting, so this is more so if you're in a 12-man league. Kylan Granson, fourth-round pick of the Indianapolis Colts, has everything that Frank Reich wants. I think he will kind of have that Eric Ebron role when Ebron was there back when Luck. Yes, I'm still crying about Luck retiring. Who else was there? Trey Burton type role. And if he does, continue to play well, could definitely see him become a starter. But we'll see. Obviously, Jack Doyle is still there. Mo Alley's still there. But he'll definitely get his time to shine. But moving on to the defense, obviously we know the cream of the crop, Washington, Tampa, sitting across the top of the draft boards for defenses. Jake, give us some sleepers for this year.
So for the defense, this one's a little difficult because there's a lot of times where for defense, you're just going to end up playing the matchup. You're going to figure out which offense is weaker and you're going to pick the better defense. That's usually how people play around when it comes to these defenses. But there's one team that me and Matt really love on defense, but every time we mention them, people laugh. They say, no, it's not going to happen. They laugh as the team as a whole. So I really do think it's a sleeper because of that. I don't think it's a sleeper in our eyes, but I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts. I think that is a sleeper defense because people keep sleeping on the Colts. I'm telling you, it's there. Defense was not their problem last year. So that's one that I'm super in love with. I'd actually take them over the Rave people love for some reason on defense. I would rather have the Colts. Another team that we really love on defense that you're probably thinking, they lost a couple people. They were having problems in the off seasons with one of their star corners. I like the Dolphins. That's a really nice defense there too. I can see them consistently having a good defense each week. And then the Chargers finally have everybody healthy. Joey Bosa coming off that edge can make your secondary so much better. And then you have Derwin James coming back. He wasn't playing at all last year. So that's another defense that can be solid. And then the last one that I'll mention, that's the Denver Broncos. A lot of people don't like them, but Matt's a big fan of Denver right now on that defense. And I don't blame him. They got some dogs back there, especially in the secondary. And then Von Miller's healthy again. You got Von Miller and Bradley Chubb coming on both sides. So those are the ones that I really like.
Yeah, it's I feel like, yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to want to go for Washington and
because that's the one that you plug and play and you never worry about.
Yeah, you don't have to play the matchups. But even with some of these, granted, you know, they may have some games where it's against some elite talent. You know, Indy, I feel, is going to be really good. Kwity Paye, first-round pick, is looking like, I don't know, man. He might be the second coming of Robert Mathis for the Colts. And then you pair that with a guy like Defoe and Grover Stewart, who goes way underlooked because he's playing D tackle role. But if when you look, man, we got some guys. Maniac there, Bobby Okereke, which you guys will definitely be able to know who that guy is this year, taking over at middle linebacker. So,
because obviously, no matter how good the defense is, if you're playing against Mahomes, Brady, most likely the defense is not going to have a good week for you. That's just common sense.
Yeah.
Those are two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Even if playing against the Rodgers, he's going to eat up any good defense. So obviously those weeks, it doesn't matter who you put out there. You just hope for the best. You just hope not to go negative.
Yeah, you just hope for the best. And well, also too, if you know they're as good as we feel they are, they'll be able to get you some key stops in order to swing the game in your team's momentum. So definitely there, I agree with you on those sleeper picks. Moving on to our last one, kickers. I don't even think there's any sleeper kickers. I mean, it's kickers.
Hey. Some leagues
I know kickers are people too, you know, but I guess Brandon McManus, Denver. I don't know, bro. I mean,
I like is it Lambeau in Jacksonville? I have a lot too.
I think by sleeper, you're probably going to want to go for a team like you said like last week or a couple weeks ago, someone that the team's going to get in the red zone, but they're probably going to be a team that's missing a piece to score, or they just can't get there. So those are more the kickers you kind of want to go after.
Yeah, like, so I guess I could see a Jason Sanders. I feel like Miami could be that offense that gets into the red zone, but maybe can't get into the end zone. So Jason Sanders will come out.
Graham Gano's a good one.
Graham Gano, Brandon McManus, Denver. But guys like Tyler Bass of, Buffalo, those guys are, I mean, they're pretty much going to be in the end zone a lot with Josh Allen and crew. So, but hey, that is our sleepers for this upcoming season. Next week, hey, join us again for some fantasy football talk as we go into our favorite matchups for each week, and also the matchups where we're maybe not so hot on and maybe you need to sit these guys. And hey, who knows, if you end up winning your league, hey, don't shy away from giving us some credit. Just send us over a trophy or something to let us know we helped you win your league, and we'll go from there. Maybe we can have you on the show as well. But before we get into our breakdown of the NFC West, we're going to take a little bit of a halftime break and hear a word from our sponsor.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Not only is it free, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
And we're back from our halftime break, just in time to break down our last division heading into the season. What better way than to break down what I feel is the best division in football today? The NFC West. saw this division last year led by the Seattle Seahawks, who looked like they were gunning for the Super Bowl. And then the rest of the league said, hey, Pete Carroll and crew, we have figured you out. They finished 12-4, followed by the Los Angeles Rams, who in many's eyes have got a little bit of a facelift at quarterback with Matt Stafford. They finished at 10-6. The Arizona Cardinals, who showed promise, and that they did in some games. Obviously, we remember the Hail Murray. They finished 8-8. And the injury-riddled San Francisco 49ers, so much talent coming off the Super Bowl appearance. The ceiling was looking up, and then the injury bug said, hey, not so fast. We saw them finish at 6-10. So, again, that is why Joe is here as a 49ers fan. He will be breaking down his favorite team. But as always, we will be going with the division winner first. That is the Seattle Seahawks. So, Jake, give us a team weakness for the Seattle Seahawks going into the season.
Defense. Specifically, I think I'm going to go secondary because the D-line, I noticed they actually drafted a few guys last year. Alton Robinson's one of them that they drafted. I really like him. He's super young. He's going to learn. And obviously you still have Bobby Wagner to help the linebackers. So he kind of controls that area. But in that secondary, my God, it is so bad. You just have Jamal Adams, who's basically a linebacker, like you and me have said, trying to cover somebody. They're struggling. Obviously, they just made a trade because even they know that they need help in corners. And that's going to – not only is that going to make things worse, but like you've been saying, Seattle has been running the same offense for a while now. So once they start picking up what they're doing, you're asking Russell Wilson, who's 33 years old, to do a lot more. Obviously, he's healthy. He keeps his body going. But when you're trying to keep your offense on the field so much because your defense is either constantly just getting ran through and the opposing offense is scoring so much, or they're tired because the offense is just slowly but surely just beating them down all the way to their score. So they're not able to get any stops. So that's why I say secondary.
Yeah, man. And now a team strength for the Seattle Seahawks going into the 2021 season.
Obviously, Russell Wilson. He's the strength of that, not only offense, but of the team. He's phenomenal. He's always doing the most, especially coming out of college, being 5'10", being real small for the position. A lot of people didn't think. He was the first really small guy to not only be successful, but at such a fast level. Like, he won a Super Bowl pretty quick in his career. So I'm going to go Russell Wilson. Yeah, should have had to.
Should have ran the ball, Pete Carroll. Now, just real quick, another thing I would say is team strength. I would say the receiver room. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, drafted Dwayne Eskridge, I believe his name is.
Yep.
And also guys like Freddie Swain and whatnot are there as well. So I would say that would probably be second in line as far as team strength. But player on the hot seat for the Seattle Seahawks going into the season, Jake.
Player on the hot seat. I'm going to say, and I know this is probably not a popular opinion, but I want to see more from him. I want to see him healthy for a full season. I kind of want to see him help Russell Wilson on that offense. I'm going to go Chris Carson. That's probably not a popular opinion. People say, well, Chris Carson, he does what he's asked. It's not been working. Can you do a little bit more than what you're asked? Can you help Russell Wilson out a little bit more? I know that O-line is not great. I know that's why Russell Wilson is constantly running out of the pocket. But if you could just help him out a little bit, be available, that's also an availability. Just be there for him, be his security blanket. I think that'll help him out a lot.
And now a player you are most excited to watch.
It's a guy that broke out last year. You had him on your fantasy team. He's helping my Madden team right now. I'm going to go DK Metcalf.
So you blame me? All right,
yeah. DK Metcalf. I love that guy, man. Obviously, the one knock that we all have on him is the drop passes.
Yeah.
If he can work on that, obviously, we know you're going to make mistakes. You're going to drop some passes. But if you can cut those drops in half, that's tremendous. Because I think he was double digits in drops. So if you can cut that in half, that's really good.
Yeah, and the thing is, it didn't really start till halfway through the year.
Yeah, I don't know if his conditioning was ready for the workload.
Something happened there because he started off, he was on fire, like you said, like you mentioned. I had him on my fantasy team last year. He was on fire, man. So I definitely agree with there. And now to end it off, tell Seattle Seahawks fans that they will be repeating Jake as their division favorites.
No, they will not be repeating as division favorites. I am so sorry, Seattle. This is the one division that I feel all 4 teams could possibly make the playoffs. But if not, I fear that Seattle will be missing the playoffs this year. I do not have – it's either them or San Francisco. I know Joe's going to talk about them more, so I won't. But out of the 4 teams that can miss the playoffs, it's one of those 2.
Yeah.
I've already prepared myself.
What's your team record for them?
So for the record, and it's just because I think this record that I'm going to give them, they probably make the playoffs in any other division, but because this division is so stacked.
Yeah.
I do have them winning double digits. I think they go either 10-7 or 11-6. But I can still see that misses the playoffs.
Yeah, somebody is going to have a winning record here, and they're not going to make it. And again, this is why I feel this is the best division.
Because even at 10-7, like you said, that's above 500. That probably gets you in for, sadly, most of these divisions. Like if you put Seattle in the NFC East, they're winning that division with their eyes closed.
Yeah. Well, Seattle Seahawks fans, there you have it. Jake's breakdown of the Seattle Seahawks for this upcoming year. Obviously, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear that you're going to repeat again.
Get a better defense, and you will. That's what won you the first one.
But now we are moving on to the Los Angeles Rams, who finished second in their division, finished 10-6. Again, I mentioned a little bit of a facelift. Out is Jared Goff, insert Matt Stafford. So a team weakness that I will have for the LA Rams is, so at first this was not a weakness, and then Cam Akers got hurt. I'm going to say running back is a weakness because Darrell Henderson, yes, is there. Yes, you traded for Sony Michel, but none of these guys have been consistent. Obviously, there's a reason the Pats got rid of Sony Michel, and there's a reason Cam Akers beat out Henderson throughout, as the year went on last year for the starting guy. So we'll see. Maybe change of scenery will wake up Sony Michel. Maybe they'll have a good dynamic 1-2 punch there. But for the time being, I got to go. Weakness is the running backs. A team strength, I'm not going to go with the quarterback. I'm going to go with the receiver room. Cooper Kupp.
I love Cooper Kupp.
Why does his name draw a blank?
Robert Woods. You have Van Jefferson is also there, who's a nice guy, third stringer, who's going to see some play time. You also got Deshaun Jackson, which for his role and, to ask what he's been, to do is going to play his role pretty well for them. And I guess you can throw in there Tutu Atwell, who's kind of a poor man's version of Deshaun Jackson, younger. So we'll see. But definitely I feel like that's a team strength for the Rams is the receiver room. Player on the hot seat, Matt Stafford. Stafford, this is not the Detroit Lions. This team is not bad. If you are as good as I feel you are a Super Bowl contender. You are probably the one thing that could stand a chance to play and maybe possibly beat the Bucs. We'll see. Ironically, he's also my player I'm most excited to watch. Again, as I mentioned, this is not the Lions, Stafford. You have everything. Pretty good offensive line. Running game is yet to see. I was
with Cam Akers there, I was really excited for him there. Obviously, the receivers are good. Even, Higbee is still, a pretty decent tight end coming out of there as well. And then again, the defense, headlined by Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, they're going to get you the ball back. So definitely Matt Stafford is the guy that I'm most excited to watch. Team record, I got the LA Rams winning this division with 12 wins and 5 losses. 2 key wins. As much as this pains me to say this, I have them winning week 2 at Indianapolis. I also have them going into Green Bay and winning. Obviously, Jordan's not going to want to hear that. 2 key losses. I don't think you're quite ready yet to defeat the Tampa Bay Bucks, but it's okay. It's just regular season. Hopefully, you'll get another crack at them in the playoffs. And another key loss is I got them losing December 26th, week 16 to Minnesota. Well, other than that, 12-5. Again, I feel like Sean McVay is breathing a little bit of a fresher new air. Matt Stafford's there. It's Jared Goff.
Open the playbook.
Excuses. Yeah, open the playbook. There's literally no excuse anymore. Of course, LA Rams fans, hey, you love to hear this, that I have your team winning the division. So that is my assessment of the LA Rams. Our next team, the Arizona Cardinals, we all three will be breaking down. The Arizona Cardinals, as I mentioned, finished 8-8 in this division. So, Jake, hit us with a team weakness heading into the year for the Cardinals.
So we talked about it a little bit earlier when we were discussing Malcolm Butler retiring. It's that secondary. You lost Patrick Peterson. You don't know what to do with Isaiah Simmons. He's looking like a bust because you have no idea how to use him. He's not a bust. He's just not being used in the system well. You can put him at slot. You can put him at safety. You can put him at a linebacker. You can have him rush off the edge, give him that Jamal Adams type role, but they refuse to use him the right way. I feel like that would really step their defense up, but I'm going to say corner for a weakness.
And now a team strength headed into the season.
I'm going to go wide receivers. And I say that with a question mark because I know they added AJ Green. So a lot of people are like, oh, that's just an old man. But I do love Christian Kirk this year. I don't know why. He had a couple games last year where he looked like he was going to break out. He would go 3 or 4 games where you're like, oh, I got to start him. And then he disappeared. So I feel like it's there for him. And they're going to throw the ball. It's not going to be a running team. So the opportunity is going to be there. And I really like this wide receiver room, especially with the the drafting of Rondale Moore.
Definitely. Now, Joe, I know this might pain you. Oh, no, this shouldn't pain you. Give us somebody who's a player on the hot seat for the Cardinals this year.
Well, as we were talking about earlier, J.J. Watt, he's got to prove himself, but also the coach. He's time again getting close to what their goal is, which is playoffs and championship, and can't seem to get it done, even with the good offense that they have. So if he can't produce this year with the offense, yes, the defense is a little couple of issues, but overall, he's got a solid team. Me personally, I like them winning the division, so if he can't do that, I think he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, and now a player I'm most excited to watch has got to be Kyler Murray. Year 3, last year, really showed us what he was capable of, keeping plays alive, scrambling, everything. The arm talent is there. I'm excited because I drafted this guy last night in our Dynasty League. So he's definitely a player I'm most excited to watch, and a guy who I feel could end the fantasy football season as the top quarterback in the league just because of everything he can do. So with that being said, a team record for the Arizona Cardinals. Although I do have you making the playoffs, I have you finishing 11-6 behind the Rams. 2 key wins I got for you are the Los Angeles Rams. I think you go into LA and beat them, so I got you beating the Seattle Seahawks. 2 key losses at Cleveland. At Cleveland, just because of the defense. Myles Garrett and crew is really going to pose some problems. And also, again, I'm going to keep beating this drum, and it's not because I'm a Colts fan, but I need you guys to realize that the Colts are not just your typical, oh, yeah, Peyton Manning, Andrew Love. I have them taking another L to the Indianapolis Colts, December 25th. I think it'll be a close game, but I do think they lose to the Colts there. And there you have it, Arizona Cardinals fans. You're going to take that next step, make the playoffs. Not going to win the division yet, but I could definitely see that coming on the horizon for you guys.
Is that Browns game a primetime game?
Yes, 4:05 on Fox.
Yeah, Browns win.
Yeah.
Yep,
exactly. Yeah. That's why I had to give them the win.
But
now,
you see how you have them at 11-6, and I put Seattle at 10-6 or 10-7 or 11-6. So if that happens, and let's say the Rams do end up leading the division, imagine losing out and not making the playoffs at an 11-6 record because you tied or you split with one of your teams in the division.
Yeah, and I'm there with you because see, my thing was I had them beating Seattle twice, which is why they make the playoffs. I didn't when I was looking at it, I just don't feel Seattle can beat the Cardinals twice.
Yeah, I can see it too.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like the Rams and the Cardinals. Honestly, I could also agree with Joe. I could see the Cardinals taking this division if Murray is going to take that next big boy step that I feel he can. But just going off based overall team is the reason I had to go with the Rams as the favorite.
Yeah, because you know Matt Stafford's ceiling. You know what you're going to get. Kyler Murray, obviously, we see big things for him, but we have to see it. Yeah,
that and also to the defense, the secondary. Obviously, Budda Baker's back there, but who else, So, but hey, we don't want to keep Joe waiting any longer. It's the reason he's here. San Francisco 49ers. Finish 6-10.
Good news is that if there's 2 ties in our division for 11-6, it won't be to the 49ers. Looking at our schedule, I think our schedule is pretty difficult. I got 6-11. Wins against.
Wow! So you guys finishing out the same.
Lions, I think we can beat the Jags. Bengals, Falcons, Texans, I think we can.
Whoa. Okay.
I think we can beat them.
Now you're getting a little
I put Vikings just because it's gotta beat them. It means nothing, but it's what I need. Really, when you look at our last year's schedule, we averaged 23 points a game. Our offense actually did produce. The injuries on defense is what killed us. In our losses, week 1, 24-20. Week 4, 25-20. Week 5, 43-17. It only gets worse by 37 points, 34 points. So our defense struggled last year with injuries, especially a Bosa.
Yeah. So what would be a team weakness heading into the season for the Niners?
Our big weakness, I really think, is our running backs. The injuries that our running backs have. Second to that is our wide receivers. There's a lot of injuries to both of those. If we can stay healthy there, I think that's the key for us in our offensive production. Yeah. So that's what I'm going with our weakness.
And what about a team strength for the Niners?
Team strength, I got 2 spots. I got our D-line with Armstead, Kinlaw, and Bosa. I really like those 3 on our line. And then, of course, we got our linebackers with Greenlaw and Warner. So I think that's our strength if we can stay healthy.
Now, this one is probably obvious for even non-49ers fans, but a player on the hot seat for this year.
For me, Jimmy G. That's my player.
No.
We were excited to see what he could do coming in from New England, but I really don't think he fits the scheme that Shanahan wants to play. I really think Lance can be that guy, and was hoping to see him be our starter. But I think Jimmy G is definitely our hot seat guy.
Yeah, I think Jimmy G will start, but I agree with you. I think Trey Lance opens the playbook up because of his raw ability, the running, the arm strength. So it wouldn't shock me if halfway through the year they pull Jimmy. It really wouldn't shock me. But
Yeah, I think once they realize if they're out of it, like it's just the division's too tough to get through.
yeah,
I don't see what's the harm in throwing Lance out there.
yeah. And now give us your player you are most excited to watch for the Niners.
For me, if Lance starts, it definitely would be Lance. But for sure, starters, I love watching Warner play, and I like Bosa playing. So those are the two guys that I'm definitely going to focus on watching this year, because I like seeing them guys on the field play.
Yep, and as you gave us at the beginning your record of 6-11, it sucks because again, man, I feel like all four of these teams could finish close to double digits.
We could if we start Lance. That's my opinion. I think if we started Lance, our chances of being competitive in the division are better.
Yeah.
I think for what I would say, because I do like the 49ers, but their thing, and it's been the reason for the last couple of years after that Super Bowl run, it's been injuries.
Yeah.
They just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
If they can stay healthy, I think Jimmy G is enough to get them into the playoffs, but I don't think, like Joe said, he's not Kyle Shanahan's quarterback. That's not the guy he wants to use to open up his playbook. So even if they do make the playoffs and even if he has a solid year, I still think Jimmy G's gone. You don't draft a quarterback with your third pick to have him sit for another season.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. I feel like it's more fun. It's more exciting. The playbook's opened up. Again, I don't think you maybe win it, but like you mentioned, they're definitely more competitive. I feel if Trey Lance is there. But like Jake mentioned, I mean, I do feel like they are good enough with Jimmy G to also make some noise. You just got to hope that Jimmy can take some chances, take some shots.
But
that's all you really need.
If he loses Debo, if he loses Ayuk, he loses a running back. All you have is Kittle, and if you run Kittle too much,
yeah, then he's
because Kittle's wild. Yeah. Kittle's not safe. That's the problem with him. Instead of going down, he'll fight for like half a yard more with like three guys trying to bring him down.
That's the thing. Running back, if Mostert gets hurt, we have Sermon. I think he can be the guy. But wide receiver, forget it. If Ayuk or our other receiver goes down, we got nobody behind him. There's nobody there. So we keep of hurt if that was to happen.
Yeah. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our final breakdown of the year heading into the season. We really enjoyed doing this. We really enjoyed having some regular guys come on to break down their team. Obviously, each and every year we'll do our best to do this and kind of see where our breakdowns change with the differences between each and every year going into each season. But, Joe, we appreciate you talking on the Niners, even if it was – give them a 6-11 record. Hey, you're being honest, and that's all we want here is for you to be honest.
I enjoy being
here. But now moving on to our NBA section. The news broke last week. Nothing really major. 3-team trade involving Cleveland, Chicago, and Portland. So what happened is in a 3-team deal, Cleveland traded forward Larry Nance to Portland and a protected 2023 second-round pick to Chicago. The Bulls also received forward Derek Jones from Portland in the Trailblazers lottery protected 2022 first-round pick as a part of the trade. And in return, Cleveland got who they feel can be their guy next to Evan Mobley, Lauri Markkanen. I personally like him. Now, I get why he maybe wanted to leave Chicago. I feel like he feels he is bigger than their role there. And obviously with, Zach, now Lonzo, and now DeMar, he's kind of going to be put in the back burner. So I get it. Go play for the Cavs. And, let's be real. Cavs aren't going to do anything. It's going to be a while before they can do anything. But he can kind of take over as a better version of Kevin Love. Obviously, Kevin Love's still sitting there. Why, I don't know. But, hey. Jake, what are your thoughts on this trade?
You and me view Lauri Markkanen a little bit different. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I feel like you haven't done anything to feel like you're bigger than your role. If you were, I think they probably would have played you a little bit more. There's a reason you didn't get the playing time. I think he has the talent. He is a big that can shoot. Everyone basically wanted him to be at the time the Porzingis or Kevin Love of the NBA. That was what they were expecting from him, but he just hasn't shown up. But maybe, like you said, a change of scenery, a different coach, just being around different guys, a team that has no expectations, he might find his spot there. So maybe it works out for him. But I feel like the way he went about it, demanding a trade, like, what have you done to demand a trade? That's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
The potential's there. I agree with you there. And the change of scenery is probably good for him. I think it's just the way he went about it. Like, what have you done?
I agree. Joe, you got anything to add to his 3-team trade?
I agree with Jake a lot. I like Markkanen. He's a decent player, but he isn't, any superstar by any means. But how could you resist getting Jones, who can still get you numbers, get a first round, protected lottery pick and a second round pick? I mean, it to me, it seemed like a no brainer to take that. Get those picks.
Yeah.
Player.
Definitely. In other NBA news, playoff Rondo headed back to the Lakers or the LA Old Men. It has been reported that the veteran guard plans to return to Los Angeles on a 1-year, $2.6 million deal after clearing waivers. Is this a good pickup, or are the Los Angeles Lakers basically nursing a old people home?
I think it is one-shot wonder, basically. One-hit wonder type season. They're going all for it. They're going to try to win the finals and then let all these vets go and sign the new income vets. I just feel like that's what's going to be. They're just going for the chip. This is what we saw in Miami.
Yeah, this is what LeBron led teams do. This is literally what.
Yeah, when LeBron says, "Let me get the 35 and over club," he has the finals on his mind. Yeah, that's really all it is. Play your role and let me do my thing.
Yeah, definitely. And also, too, it was reported that DeAndre Jordan and the Brooklyn Nets are trying to work out a buyout. And also, too, again, hey, head scratcher, not head scratcher. The old man Lakers are reportedly trying to get him as well. You think they got enough walkers there, Joe, for DeAndre Jordan to join them?
I've always been a fan of Jordan, even though he slowed down a little bit. He has potential, shows potential, but for what they need, the rebounds and things, I think he's what they need in a player. I like it personally.
Yeah, I'll say this. I feel like it's too many old men. And I mean, yeah, Monk, Kendrick Nunn are there, THT. So yeah, I mean, they do have some youth. So I do get it, but Westbrook
technically is considered an old man, but he doesn't play like one.
He doesn't play like
There's a difference. So does LeBron. LeBron is 36. He doesn't play like he's 36.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit different. Dwight Howard doesn't play his age. He plays his role pretty well. And I think DeAndre Jordan, they're going to have him do what they wanted with Montrezl Harrell. It just never happened. Just come in, get boards, and put backs. That's about it. That's all they wanted from Montrezl Harrell, but he just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. But hey, that is going to do it for the NBA. Short and simple. Maybe a little bit news will start, revamping up next month as teams kind of report back to camp. And again, a little bit of a shortened summer off, but looks like they'll be returning back to their normally scheduled 82 games and, structure of things and whatnot. So, but as always in other sports, each week we've kind of talked about different sports between soccer, baseball, we talked about last week. But hey, this week with college football kicking off. Technically, college football kicked off last week with week 0, but there weren't really any big games, any big names coming on. But this time we want to take our times to kind of look into the future of the NFL, college football again, kicking off. So many guys going into this year who have the potential. Just want to kind of strike some games here that we have lined up. We have the Alabama Crimson Tide going up against the Miami Hurricanes. That should be a really good game. Right now, the Crimson Tide are favored 18.5 by 18.5 points. This game will take off at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. 3:30 p.m. We're going to see newly quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide, Bryce Young, get his first ever start for the Crimson Tide after Mac Jones and crew took off for college or for NFL, sorry. And also, too, another game to watch, 7:30, number 5 Georgia going off against number 3 Clemson. JT Daniels, quarterback of the Georgia Bulldogs, started late but has shown major promise. DJ Ugalele, who was also Trevor Lawrence's backup, came in and played when Trevor had COVID last year. So obviously he's no surprise to the action. He's played in some great, meaningful games, played last year against Notre Dame. But also, too, I don't know necessarily if you guys are as big into college as I am. I know Joe's got his teams. But right now, before I let you guys speak, just some guys that we want to watch. Or maybe if you're not into college football, these are some names that you can watch, and kind of pay attention to. So just kind of mentioning some quarterbacks. Spencer Rattler, Oklahoma Sooners quarterback, kind of has the same build as Kyler Murray. Not as athletic, not as shifty as him, but, pretty decent. Has the arm talent. De'Aaron King for the Hurricanes came back to Miami, could have opted out to go into the draft, but decided to come back after transferring from Houston. And as I mentioned, Bryce Young, first start, he's the next Alabama quarterback up. Obviously, Alabama just breezed these guys off the streets, but we don't want to keep it all quarterbacks. Let's talk about Kayvon Thibodeau, defensive end out of Oregon, is looking to, as he mentioned, win the Heisman. He feels like he can put the defensive guys back on the map for the Heisman. And if you are a team who is in need for secondary help, please feast your eyes on LSU's cornerback, number 7, Derek Stingley. By far the best, and I'm a Gators fan, and this pains me to say this, by far the best corner in college. Was the best corner in college as a freshman, but now junior year, it's time to get paid. Obviously, we all know about the name, image, likeness contract. These guys are already making money right now. But Derek Stingley, watch out. Again, if you need a corner, you're not playing that great, you're going to tank, Derek Stingley is the guy. But I don't want to take too much up time. Joe, you excited for the Hurricanes this week against Alabama? You feel like they have a shot, or you feel like this is going to be another
Alabama's a tough team. It's one of those that I'm not sure how it's going to go. Honestly, obviously I'd like to see the Hurricanes win. I got a little more faith in the LSU and Miami, the two teams that I like to watch. I think LSU has a better chance of winning this weekend over Miami. But Miami definitely always has the stars to watch. It's whether or not they can stop Alabama and their run game and their quarterback.
Yeah, I agree there with you. I feel like had Miami returned some of their key defensive talent from last year, obviously Jalen Phillips, who's on the Dolphins right now, who played defensive end for you guys, I feel like they probably have a better chance. Now, the one thing that I will say that I'm not so hyped about this Alabama team is a lot of unknowns. So if you remember, I mean, you had Devontae Smith, you had Jalen Waddle, Mac Jones, Najee Harris. Literally, it was stacked. So who are the guys behind them? So we'll be able to see that. Is Bryce Young the guy? We'll see. As a Gators fan, I'm excited, even though it's Florida Atlantic. Hey, although we're favored 23.5 favorites to win the game, I'm excited because college football is here. I know Jake's maybe not so much into college, but hopefully, he can get into some games here, especially playing Dynasty and whatnot. You kind of want to keep an eye on who the top dogs are coming out of college and the different conferences and whatnot. So, Jake, you got anything to add to the college football hype for this week?
Yes. DJ Ukulele, you said, right? Is how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Is he the doppelganger of Juwan Howard? He looks exactly like him.
It's the goatee.
This man is not a college athlete. He looks
Yeah.
like he's 38 years old playing college football.
Bro,
Like, I'm looking at this man's picture right now. I'm like, yo, is that Juwan Howard?
This
Like,
man is 6'4", 249,
yes,
bro.
He's huge.
He's huge. I remember watching this guy. I'm trying to think of the high school he came from. It was a high school in California. It'll come to be they have these shows on Netflix like QB1 and whatnot of these high school prospects. And the funny thing was the guy who was actually starting for that team, they were there for him. But DJ was so good, he kept popping up that they even yanked him. Now, the quarterback that started for them at that point, he went on to play for Arizona State, and I think he's still there now, although I don't think he's starting. But DJ, again, was just a man amongst boys, just sitting back there launching it. And he's got the arm talent. Obviously, Clemson is stating their case for quarterback Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. Now DJ's looking to follow in their footsteps as the next great Clemson quarterback. But yeah, man, this man, solid. He's only a sophomore.
Another thing to actually give some college football feedback, not make fun of how someone looks. Because Matt was telling me earlier a few weeks and earlier in the week last week, listen, you got to get into college football. Let's watch a game. Let's, just get you into it. So I started doing a little of my own investigation, trying to see who's good, who's not. And obviously you go to the rankings. You see who's number one. And you mentioned Spencer Rattler, but I heard a lot of people say that his college career didn't start off the best. He had kind of a shaky start. And I see here he had 6 turnovers in a span of 10 quarters with Kansas State. And then he went to Iowa State and Texas. And then he was benched against the Longhorns. So he's been bouncing around. But he's getting that experience and he could have a breakout year. So I'm thinking, is he going to have that Zach Wilson story? Because Zach Wilson didn't have a great start to his college career either. It wasn't until last year where he had his breakout year and then everyone started seeing what he could do.
Yeah, it's and the reason I mentioned him because it was definitely a rough start, and then it got better. And I just feel like Oklahoma could make their case for quarterback U as well. Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Kyler
Oh yeah,
Murray.
quarterbacks. They birth quarterbacks.
That's what they do also. So Spencer obviously looks to follow in the footsteps there. And unfortunately, I had to see this firsthand. Oklahoma played Florida last year in the bowl game and had their way with them. Obviously, with how bowl games are nowadays, if you're a top talent, you can just declare and then you don't have to play. So you're losing a whole bunch of guys to play in these games, and it's kind of unfair because now your third stringers, second stringers who maybe didn't see as much play time, oh hey, now you're thrown into this bowl game, and you're not necessarily as prepared as you would be. But we've had some guys on here on the show. You guys remember Mike McCarter? He's a big, huge college football advocate as well, also a Gators fan. So, maybe as future shows, we'll look to have him on as college football starts to heat up. You guys let us know down in the comments, hey, is your favorite team playing this week? Are you excited for them? Obviously, we're all excited for next week, kickoff of the NFL season, where we're having another guest on. But before we end the show, we have our favorite, your favorite, the hype. We reached out to you guys again this week through our Instagram channel to see what's something you're hyped for. And Cray, brother-in-law living in Chicago, listened to the show on the regular as well, said he was hyped for NBA 2K22 to come out. So we are also hyped for that. We love playing NBA 2K. Hopefully, you guys maybe are too. But now we want to see what we are hyped for. Joe, tell the people what you're hyped for, man.
I'm just hyped for fantasy football again. In the past, I've been addicted to drafting teams and having teams. I had multiple sites that I maxed out teams. So just to be able to draft again this year, build my teams again, it's definitely been a missed off season for football for me. So I'm definitely hyped that season's here, drafts are here, fantasy's here. So that's my hype for this week.
And Jake, tell the people something that you're hyped for, man.
All right. So we never got a chance to talk about this, but I think I watched this trailer about 50 times in a span of 24 hours. But that Spider-Man trailer got me super hyped for December. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed. I'm hoping that it doesn't, but that's what I'm hype about. Obviously, I can say football because that's just the obvious thing. But just I'm a comic book nerd. So is Joe. But just to see a lot of stuff and what you hope they do, what you want to see on screen, I'm kind of excited for that. But I think the main thing is football. It's back, man. And just to be able to sit down on Sunday, just watch all the games.
Watch some game, yeah, man.
And it's just life just feels so much better when football's on. Like, let's be real. And then, like Joe said, the fantasy teams, it gets competitive, man. It gets competitive with these fantasy football leagues.
Yes, sir. Something that I'm hyped for. I'm just gonna say, man, football season in general, all leagues, high school, college, NFL,
Pee-wee!
Not Pee-wee, but definitely just all the leagues, fantasy football leagues. Like I mentioned, we drafted last night. I probably looked at my team at least 30 times today. Just
staring at
staring at
your phone.
Man, what can I do? I got that trade itch. Jake, don't hit me up, bro.
Wow.
But we don't want to veto. Yeah, we don't want to see one of those trades go down again like he did. But hey, we're excited.
Wow.
Fantasy football. Obviously, we got another draft, all of us together on Sunday, where we look to reign supreme once again. But as we mentioned each and every single week, hey, the regulars, those of you listening with us on this Wednesday, we thank you guys so much for tuning in each and every week. Joe, again, hey, man, we appreciate you coming on. Definitely look to have you come back on future episodes, talk some hockey, and so you can continue to educate us as well on that, and also to chime in on some 49ers talk. So we appreciate you for coming on. Got anything else? Jake, hit us with some words of wisdom, I guess, sir, in the outro.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in this week. Again, like I always say, positive feedback, harsh criticism, just whatever kind of feedback you guys have for us, hit us with it. We want to provide, just a great show for you guys. Always want to get better. We want to thank Joe again. He's a really good friend, so we're happy he came on the show. But man, we really love the support you guys are giving us. Keep it going. And we kind of want to get into that soccer world, but we need someone that's a little knowledgeable, and I think Matt would agree with that, to help us and guide us in the way. We got our hockey guys, Joe and Micah, so we need to get our soccer guy. So if you guys are listening, you're into soccer, or you know someone who can really help us, send us a message so we can get that going, probably get them on the show. But besides that, get ready for your fantasy football teams. If you guys have questions about fantasy, whatever it is, hit us up. We'll try our best to include it in the show, or just answer your question directly and try to help you guys out with your fantasy drafts. But besides that, thank you so much. Have a good night. Good rest of their day whenever you're watching this. Love you guys.
Peace.
Regular Guys Podcast.